Investor's Edge with Gary Kaltbaum. Straight talk about you and your money. Now from the BizTalk studios, here is Gary Kaltbaum.
And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm Gary Kaltbaum, your host. Hey, thanks for being with us today. Glad you're here, ladies and gentlemen. Happy that you are listening. It is April 29th, 2024. I believe it's Monday, and I wish it was Friday. No, really? Okay. Anyway, hope you're having a good day. As always, lots to cover. But first, if you do not get this radio show in your city, we'll post it at GaryK.com. We'll also post it on our Twitter feed, which is now X. And if you don't follow us on Twitter, you should. And, of course, you can email me. Just be nice. I do not suck. Like somebody who loves Trump is upset about anything I say about Trump. So basically, I suck. What can I tell you? That's okay. And very simply, we have never been more serious about what we do here than ever before. And it's not hyperbole. It is everything that they are doing, the numbers they are doing, how they are doing it, and how that can affect you and your kids and their kids going forward. As we have told you, we're going to get into the markets in a minute, the numbers are obscene. You know, I have this little line, and it's somewhat sarcastic, but I always say all the time, when they speak, watch your wallets. Simple as that. And you know who they are. The socialists / Marxist control freaks. And they do it with rules and regulations and fees and fines and mandates and taxes and giveaways with your money. And I've explained to you time and time again that in the past, it's not been good. It's not been good. But what's going on now, and the numbers are unimaginable. And I pretty much tweet every week another day of Sunday shows. You know, they have these Sunday political shows, and they bring on that group of people. And they never ask them about the debt and deficit. And, of course, they never ask them about the border either and mention the word Biden in there. So just letting you know, everything we predicted is coming to fruition. And we're going to talk the markets in a minute. The market's a very good comeback from the week before last so far as we continue into earnings season, and another maniac with the central bank on Wednesday. But let me just tell you what they have done in a nutshell. And I want you to listen carefully. Do you remember Bill Clinton? Oh, you remember Bill Clinton. I believe it was his 1996 State of the Union address. He said the era of big government was over. That's Bill Clinton, a Democrat. The era of big government is over. In the year 2000, our whole federal government, and these are real numbers, Google them. Don't Yahoo them because Yahoo doesn't work very well. 1.8 trillion. That's all we spent as a federal government, 1.8 trillion. This coming year, what's 1.8 times 4? Last I looked was 7.2 trillion. They've quadrupled the size of government since the year 2000. Quadrupled. Thank you, George W. Bush. Thank you, Barack Obama. Thank you, Donald Trump. But they were all pikers. They were not good with our treasure. But let me further the numbers here and then get to the main point on what they're trying to do next. 5 years ago, federal spending was $4.4 trillion. They're telling us in 5 years, the size, scope, and reach and spending of government up 70%. The highest we spent in a year of COVID was about 6.5. We no longer have spending on COVID. And that was trillions. And that was necessary as we had a shutdown. So Joe Biden on purpose has taken federal spending from up 70% from 5 years ago. He's gone on TV time and time again with his array of minions saying they have lowered the deficit, they have lowered the debt, they've lowered the spending, and over the next 10 years they're going to lower deficits $3 trillion. This is your president you're supposed to depend on. The deficit is going up $20 trillion over the next 10 years. And they're saying some things they'll do will take it down $3 trillion, and that's them cutting the deficit. By the way, we're not making this up. You would think we're joking. You would think we're being sarcastic, that the President of the United States and his minions would say they're lowering the deficits by $3 trillion over the next 10 years when it's going to go up $17 trillion. But I digress. What's the second half of the con? Well, they keep going out and saying what they've done. They've lowered deficit, they lowered debt, they're going to lower it even more and lowered spending. And we know it's a big, gigantic lie that you would think that the media would be blasting them on, but they say nothing because the media sucks also. But the other part of the con, the other part of the scam, they're proposing to sunset the Trump tax cuts. What that means is, unfortunately, Trump made a big mistake, and there's a sunset on the tax cuts, meaning they end at a certain date and they revert back. And the next lie by this administration is, it's only going to be the rich. But that's a lie, because it's one big gigantic law, and you cannot piecemeal that law. Everybody who got a tax cut, from Aunt Mary and Uncle Bob to the most wealthy person in this country, will get a tax hike. Simple as that. Will get a tax hike. And I have the numbers right here. If you have 2 kids and make $85,000 a year, you're getting a $1,661 tax hike. Simple as that. So there's the other lie. But then the next part. Remember we said about watch your wallets. The con is they spend like hell first, and then the next part, they come after you. There is a proposal to tax unrealized capital gains. You know, when you pay capital gains now, it's on something you sell. You buy a stock, you make $100, you pay a tax on it. Long-term capital gains, the highest is 20%. Short-term will be your tax rate. They are proposing to do it on unrealized. So if you have $100,000 in the market and you turn it into $120,000 this year, at the end of the year they want you paying taxes on that $20,000 even though you didn't sell. But it's only on the wealthy. Remember, the privileged few. Remember, Marxists and socialists, they hate the wealthy and successful because the wealthy and successful don't need them. But what they're doing is they're not going to really affect the wealthy and successful too much. They're going to prevent you from becoming wealthy and successful. But I'm not done. They're proposing long-term capital gains, which are now at the high of 20%, to go to 44.6%. On top of the 25% of unrealized capital gains. Joe Biden. Not to mention, there's a call for a world wealth tax, 2% on billionaires. Get this, to boost social justice. Now, what the hell is social justice? In other words, the countries around the globe are coming after you. Also, the big machas coming after you. But it's the billionaires. Really? So taking all this money out of the economy and putting it in their hands will not affect everybody from top to bottom? Interesting. But I'm not done. Here's what really has me. I watched Joe Biden today speaking about the sunsetting of the tax cuts. He was joyful, gleeful, and I'm thinking to myself, he's joyful that people and their hard-earned dollars will keep less of it. He was joyful about it. Imagine that. You making $85,000 a year, going to pay an extra $1,600 in taxes, and he was thrilled. And he cajoled the audience into applauding it. Up next, we'll put a bow tie on this. And then the markets. I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge.
Hi, I'm Gary Kaltbaum, host of the nationally syndicated radio show Investor's Edge. We're not just handsome radio people. We manage investors' money for a living, specializing in fee-based discretionary money management. No big commissions, just a fee on the assets that's managed. We also provide a full range of personalized services, including retirement planning, fixed income, and educational needs, all to assist you in achieving your financial goals. Understanding not all individuals have the same needs, we'll carefully evaluate your personal goals to determine a proper investment strategy. If your current approach to investing is not getting you to where you would like to be, call us to make an appointment for a complimentary portfolio review. The number to call is 888-422-5559. That's 888-422-5559. That's 888-422-5559. Investment advisory services offered through Kaltbaum Capital Management.
It's time to switch on the integrator units and get the brain cells working.
You're listening to
Hey, this promises to be fun.
Investor's Edge
The last bastion of quality programming.
with Gary Kaltbaum.
It doesn't get better than this.
So let me put a bow tie on this, and then we'll do a little bit something else, and then the markets. Joe Biden was joyful, gleeful. Imagine, you work your tail off. I don't care whether you're wealthy, super wealthy, middle class, less than that. Joyful that tax cuts are going to be expiring. Ha ha! And by the way, there's no bias. So just letting you know, you Democrats, you independents, you Republicans, you Whig parties, whatever you are, you're going to pay more to Joe Biden's deficits. You know, the moderate Joe Biden. And when we say to you, he makes Bernie Sanders into a Republican, into a conservative, we are not kidding. I don't think Bernie Sanders would come up with, oh, yes, he would. I take that back. So we're just letting you know, by the way, these are not opinions. These are facts. All these numbers we're giving you are facts. They are increasing the size of government already from 4.4 into the 7s. They're going to go for the 10. And of that hike in spending, $2 to $2.5 trillion is money they do not have. It is deficit spending, making Trump look like a piker who made Obama look like a piker who made Bush look like a piker, and making Clinton look silly by saying the era of big government is over. Now, you know what we're being told? Well, a bunch of that has to do with Social Security and Medicare. Well, what are Social Security and Medicare? Oh, they're government programs. Why aren't they fixing them? Oh, because they're afraid of losing votes. And anytime anybody's ever brought up doing something about it. What do they say? Oh, you're throwing grandma off the hill. You're throwing her off the mountain into the ditch. I told you back after George Bush won re-election, we were invited to the White House because they wanted to do something on Social Security. We went there. We interviewed Treasury Secretary John Snow. We interviewed other Mitch Daniels, who we want to be president, but he'll never run, was the head of the OMB at that time, I believe, and others. And we talked to them, and basically we said, we just want a dialogue because we know Social Security, the way it's working in the demographics, within a week they dropped it. You know why they dropped it? Because they said they got attacked like there was no tomorrow politically on it. Everybody, they started running ads. They hate you. They want to take your money. They want to do this. They want to do that. And all they want to do is fix a government program that has no chance. Social Security has no chance of living down the road unless it's changed. It's a fact. They even admit it, but they still do nothing. A government program. And remember, we've told you about Social Security. It's just a Ponzi scheme. If they never did Social Security but made you take your own money and it was automatically deposited into an account and you couldn't touch it, and you had to, it got automatically invested in 10-year bonds. Well, it'd be in your name right now. That's number one. They couldn't touch it. That's number two. We've been saving a ton of money. We wouldn't have to another government department of Social Security, administration, whatever. And you get to deal with it. Instead of getting a check, depending on how much they want to give you. And by the way, we never taxed on Social Security, and of course, now you're taxed on it. So just letting you know what's going on, the facts. And if you think, well, what does that have to do with the market? Well, just everything. But of course, the market, good recovery. We'll get into that. I got to do one more thing. So in case you don't know, I'm in Florida. Do you know what's not happening in Florida for the most part? You don't have a bunch of nut jobs protesting and yelling, "We are Hamas." But at Columbia University and all these others, and I'm just thinking to myself, let me tell you what they did at University of Florida here. They put out a memo to students, if you do this, this is going to happen. If you do that, that's going to happen. And you know what this and that was? It was the authorities saying you are going to be suspended or expelled. Now, if you want to be suspended or expelled, do this. If you want to be suspended or expelled, do that. You know what they're doing at Columbia University? We're negotiating. In other words, giving up all authority to a bunch of anti-Semitic, racist thugs. And yes, these kids are thugs. And let me be clear about my thoughts on it. I have been watching interviews on some of them. They're zombies. They're puppets. They're Muppets. Do you know they won't even speak to anybody? They now tell you got to speak to my media relations over there, which means it is organized, without a doubt. And a bunch of them are being asked about Gaza. They're being asked about Palestine, and none of them know where it even is on the map. So it's just a bunch of lemmings following each other, coming up with something. They don't protest North Korea. They don't protest China. There's only 1 million people there, Uyghurs. They don't protest Syria with all the chemical weapons there. No. Or the Sudan. No. And then you have the trans and the gays for Hamas. Oh, my goodness gracious. They wouldn't last 3 seconds. So we don't know what's going on except to say there's one common denominator. For some reason, we're back to the hate Jew thing. And you know what the thing about Jews in Israel right now? You know what we're doing? We're just going about our business. Working, playing, loving, giving. While these people are just wasting their time. They'll go home tonight, watch Schindler's List, and probably boo Schindler. And that's that. That's greatness. Them Don't know what to tell you. But I put the blame on the authority there. They're not using their authority, which would be pretty simple. Just remember, a lot of these people are wimps. If they know they'd be expelled, mom and dad are going to be a little bit pissed off. That's number one. It's kind of simple. And number two, I blame Biden. You notice Biden hasn't done a address to the nation on this? And you know what's going on about 20 different colleges. You know, not a word. We don't like anti-Semitism. But Palestine also. I blame him. He's not a leader. He's a wimp. Why? The Muslim vote in Michigan. Don't want to lose that. Anyway, just letting you know, just covering all the bases on the leadership, on the money, on your taxes, on the debt, on the deficits. Up next, rest of the market is the market on Investor's Edge.
Listening to
America is talking.
Investor's Edge.
He's got to be pleased with that. The crowd is just on its feet here. He's a Cinderella boy.
With Gary Kaltbaum.
Comes highly recommended. You're going to feel better if you talk to him.
And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm going to talk the market with 4 words to start you out. I do not know. We're very much to the point here. We're very much what is working, what is not, what is doing, what is not. I can safely tell you right now, I do not know. And what do I mean by that? Well, when you have the number one stock in the market, NVIDIA, drop $84 2 Fridays ago and get it all back by the end of the week. I do not know. When NVIDIA, which really drives the bus on the semiconductors, take the semiconductor index from 49.11 down to 42.88. Oh, it's like 15% in a matter of 5 days. Let me make sure of that. 1, 2, 3, 6 days. Let me repeat that. This is the semiconductor index. And we tell you, we think it's the most important place in the market. It really does drive a lot of the bus. 49.11 in 6 days down to 42.88. And in 5 days, oh, I'm sorry, I'll take it back. In 6 more days, all the way back to 47.72. I don't know. I do not know. We've got 13 pages of earnings this week, so I do not know. Meta dropped 50, 60 points. I did not know. Google gapped up nicely. I did not know. But Google's already filling the gap badly. Did not know. Microsoft gapped up nicely and has completely failed the gap. Did not know. V-shaped moves in the semis and other little areas. I just do not know. What we can tell you right now on an overall basis before we tighten it up a little bit, on the major indices, what has happened is they have V-shaped back up only to the all-important 50-day moving average, where, talk about I do not know. Today, at about 3 o'clock, was it? The Dow dropped like a stone. The NASDAQ was dropping like a stone. And you're thinking, got it all back by 4 o'clock. So I do not know. We're in the middle of range for a ton of stuff. The Dow is weaker than the rest. And what we're just going to do at this point, since we really do not know on the bigger indices, we'll let the market decide. I don't often do this, but there are moments in time you just don't know. And I can tell you a couple of times today, I thought the market was going to crap out. Earlier in the day, thought, wow. And then they were smoking it again. So I just do not know. Now, taking it apart a little bit now, let me tell you, on one side, NVIDIA is still above the 50-day, was down $24 earlier and finished up 22 cents. Very tough, but in range. Remember, these things topped out in the beginning of March, and now they're range-bound, and we'll see what comes of it. But the semiconductors are driving the bus. Meta, which got killed, now the EU's on them, dropped another $11 today. Apple got upgraded by somebody. I don't know what the news was so great. They had that up $6.70, finished up $4.20. Better. Tesla, remember it gapped up on earnings, which sucked. But Elon Musk promised some things. The robo-taxis. Okie dokie. I'm never getting in a driverless car, just letting you know. They announced that China is going to give them, I don't know if the word is clearance, but on their driverless cars. Temporary approval for its self-driving cars. Simple as that. And I'm thinking to myself, when I saw the news, all right, it'll be up a few bucks. It was up $20 on the open. Was up 31 at one time. Finished up $25 on that news. A temporary approval for a self-driving car that may not be out for a couple of years. Using Baidu, by the way, a China name, ages ago we did well on. Use their software for the mapping and stuff like that. I did not know. And may I state for the record that Tesla's earnings were down 47%, revenues were down 9%. But a lot of promises. And hopefully this is going to be good. But robo-taxis in China. And that's what it went up $25 on today. Huh. By the way, that gave it a market cap higher today. $25 times, wow, $78 billion in market cap on robo-taxis. Okay, I'm all for it. What else? I don't just look at the Philadelphia Semiconductor Index, the SOX. I scan 75 names. Definitely a better tone on some names that were dead. There was some dead money names like Analog Devices, Texas Instruments. Definitely a better tone. I will grant it that and see what comes of it. My scans. Well, let me state for the record, the average stock still has crappy patterns. The average stock, not great. And we've had some good reactions to earnings on some names. So we think maybe, because we got the Fed Wednesday, we have 13 pages of earnings this week. Maybe we're going to get some backing and fill in here before it can go even further. But hey, anything's possible in a hot money market where a Tesla can go up how many billions on an announcement of robo-taxi in China? Really? Welcome to our world. Of today, I do not know on a lot of these things, but we'll be ready when it shows itself. Now, there's some new yearly highs in the market. Not many. Not a ton. I was writing a couple up as in the midst of our scan. I can tell you an air conditioning company like Carrier, new yearly high. And numbers not so bad. Just letting you know. And we're going to go through those names after we're done with radio in our scans and see if we can feel comfortable. And then we have other things today that I do not know. Important names like CrowdStrike. Why does it open up $11 today and finish down? And by the way, it's in a minimal bearish phase. Seeing that too. So again, a very much no trend, V-shape, mixed bag of whatever you want to call it. Our simple goal is to find the big leadership that decides to come out of this, like Chipotle. That broke out on earnings Thursday again because they're selling a lot of burritos for a much higher price than they used to. By the way, they admitted, hey, we're making more money because we're charging more. By the way, welcome to the world of the inflation that continues. So, yes, a bunch of I don't knows, but out of I don't knows will be big opportunity, because I don't know, I do not know means we're range bound, we're backing and filling, we're going V-shaped. I could never have predicted that we'd V-shape back up after an $84 drop 2 Fridays ago, and the semiconductor index getting trashed. But then we did not know that Google and Microsoft at Meta would announce 60 or 70 billion in AI going forward. That was just Meta, by the way. So, the comeback. Back in range. We'll see what comes of it. Much more up next on this the one only Investor's Edge.
You're listening to
What are we waiting for?
Well, what are you waiting for?
1, 2, ready, go.
Action!
Investor's Edge with Gary Kaltbaum.
Boy, didn't I cover a lot in one segment? Because I do not know. Other movers today, Domino's Pizza. And to give you an idea how this ain't easy, they opened Domino's Pizza today. It was $5.40. By 10:25, they had it at $5.08. They finished it at $5.27. But strong stock. Restaurant group, a few of them strong. A bunch of them not so strong. Actually weak. But Wingstop that reports this week, Texas Roadhouse, Shake Shack held a 50-day, Sweet Green, a salad joint. We mentioned Chipotle, and this Kava place that sells a lot of hummus, I hear. I've never had hummus. I will never touch hummus. Isn't it like, what is hummus, like peas or something? No, it ain't happening. No thank you. I've never touched broccoli, cauliflower, beets, Brussels sprouts. I'll add hummus to that. Just one of those things. There's certain things, we all have our little food thingamabobs. I don't know how anybody can eat cauliflower and broccoli. Spinach, no fan. But I do get the spinach and feta wrap from Starbucks because I can knock the spinach out. Because the rest is pretty darn good. Beets. Dwight Schrute of The Office would be pissed off at me that I would not touch beets, but such is life. And Brussels sprouts. Ugh. What the hell's a Brussels sprout? Yikes. Help me. So, yields came down today. Oil prices came down today, but oil stocks are okay. Gold was kind of flattish. Advanced declines are pretty decent. The small caps are coming on again because they're insane. The small cap indices are just insane. But for me, the big story is follow the semiconductors. They are really driving a lot of the bus. We'll see what happens. In the Dow, we mentioned Apple to you. Amazon, they report tomorrow after the close. And Amazon was getting whacked back above the 50-day a little bit, just range-bound going back 10 weeks, something like that. Tomorrow after the close, we will know a lot more. And again, 13 pages of earnings. I also do want to mention today, Boeing was up 6 today. Remember, Boeing is down about, since December, let's call it 100 points, even though it's a little less now. 100 points on the Dow is 678 Dow points. But was up 6 today. I didn't see any news, but they got to figure some crap out. And I saw another Boeing jet lost their emergency chute as it lifted off and had to fly back. I mean, what the hell is going on? Are they making Boeing jets with Legos? And by the way, I know people that work there, and they are great people, and let's just say they're beside themselves. They don't want this reputation. They've had a great reputation throughout the years of safety. Next, Caterpillar was up 6 after gapping down, which is actually good to see. A stock can gap down on earnings and can recover quickly better, but still, it's under pressure here. But that helped the Dow today, which was up 146. But may I state for the record again, on the Dow, when just not making this up, at about, let's call it 307, the Dow was down 20 after dropping like a rock for 10 minutes. S&P up 16, NASDAQ 55, about 0.3%, 0.25%. NASDAQ 100 up 64. The NASDAQ was down 30 or 40 at that low after tanking. Transports bounced a little bit up 42, and let me just state for the record, the transports are still very relatively weak. Not much going on there. In fact, ew. But tone not bad. Crypto, I'll just state that the Bitcoin is trading a little bit below the 50-day moving average right now, but not so badly. Remember what we tell you, below the 50-day you cannot ascend, but does not mean you're going to descend. You could go below and then just hang. Recent big cap names. We mentioned Tesla doing better, but SAP acts poorly, Oracle acts poorly, Netflix just gapped down, Meta just gapped down, Salesforce.com was hit, Costco's trading below the 50-day, Booking Holdings below the 50-day, Apple bounced today, but still AMD, well, they report, I believe, tomorrow, I'm pretty sure. That'll tell the tale. Remember, AMD was above 200 March 8th. It's 160 today. Yeah, think long term. NVIDIA just back above. Microsoft very mushy now and very disappointing how it reacted to great reaction to earnings and pretty much has given almost it all back and trading below the 50-day and needs to hold the 400. Google, as we said, big gap up to new highs, already filling it. Not good news. Just stick with the big names. Broadcom, range bound. Back a little bit above, and Amazon will be tomorrow. Apple will be Thursday. I'm pretty sure Apple will beat the number because it looks like an easy number. Who knows how it's going to react? We've heard every day some negative stuff about Apple and China and the numbers and this, that. I am agnostic on it. I don't own it. It's been a downtrend. And you never know when they pull a rabbit out of their hat. They've announced the car, and then they stopped with the car, and then they announced AI with the Max. All I can tell you, the stock is trading where it was 11 months ago and off the highs. In fact, by the way, the stock is trading where... Oh, wow. Didn't even realize this. Apple stock is trading where it was December of 21. No gains in 2 years and 4 months. Is that right? 22, 23, 2 years and 4 months, no gains. And the reason why is simple. They haven't been able to grow their business. Sales have been flat to down for a while, and that's because it's just such a big company and it's tough. They're going to need some new stuff. We'll see what happens. You have a great evening. Drive carefully. And when you get home, do like we do. Quite simple. Make sure you hug your family. Make sure you hug your children. They will feel better. You will feel better. I promise. Have a great evening, everybody. I'm pooped. Range bound. Hopefully we come out of it the right way. Until tomorrow, peace out all. Bye-bye.
This has been Investor's Edge with Gary Kaltbaum on BizTalk. To listen to past episodes or to get in contact with Gary, go to GaryK.com. That's GaryK.com.